All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Man, I almost miss doing these 3 times a week, mainly because it keeps me on a schedule and we still live in the land of COVID. So structure is awkward right now. Heidi Foy with Bullfrog Creatives.
Is that where we live in that land? Do
Yeah, I
we?
mean,
Sorry,
so no, we do. I just got an email from my bank. They're kind of like locking down again. We have to wear masks to go into the bank because somebody tested positive. So my husband Josh and I were just talking about this, that it kind of really feels like we're back to normal, but it's because we've not been impacted. You know, my kids are going to school and they have to wear a mask, but
right.
work is still like happening, and we are in industries like our day job industries are those that, he never did stop, and I just was at home with my kids, and so I didn't really stop working. I mean, it looked
No.
way different, but
I'll say this, and I'll let you get to however you start your show. But I will say,
yes.
how you are impacted depends on what you do for a living. Like, I can be in Billings, Montana, and start to forget about it. But being
Yeah.
in the live event industry, we're a long ways. It's awful. So anyway, yeah.
No, I mean, it's totally true. So my husband is also a real estate agent, but he does a lot of construction, and they
Mhm.
were deemed essential workers. And so, I mean, thank God he never stopped working. So, I mean, he can say like it doesn't really feel any different. I mean, he has to wear a mask when he goes into Menards, but again, it definitely is very specific. And we've talked to other people. I mean, even on this broadcast, we've talked to people that live in different states where it looks completely different than it does here in Wyoming.
Easy to live in a small town in Montana, Wyoming, wherever,
Mhm.
and kind of think, hey, things are getting back. And if you travel around or try to put on shows, and yeah, it's yeah, and I don't agree with closing things back down, but that's another. Go ahead. Okay,
That's
so
a whole nother story. We had this conversation before, like this could go anywhere. So, Heidi Foy with Bullfrog Creatives. We are back for a broadcast today. It's a little bit different. I will admit, I didn't know this, but I learned that Mr. Flint Rasmussen did not college rodeo. So I just knew that you did, but even more so, you were there when I did. So honestly, like we could have talked about a little bit of your college rodeo, and then we would just talk about all the fun memories that I have with you, and that would have been totally fine.
well, yeah, and I was involved. My brother Pete started at Miles City, and then he ended up at Dillon at Western Montana
Mhm.
with me, and he rodeoed, and my friends were on the rodeo team, and I'd go to their meetings once in a while just because.
Yeah.
Um, Wayne Else was the coach, and then Ole Else became the coach. And so I felt like I was part of the rodeo team. I mean, I was probably, that's when I kind of started clowning rodeos around Montana, was in the summer when I was in college.
Yeah.
So I was involved, and I'd clown the Dillon College Rodeo, um, while I was at school. So I maybe didn't, um,
Well, you did,
I
but
maybe
not
didn't.
technically.
I will tell you, to be a smartass here, I'm probably currently making more money in the rodeo business than the guys that were on the rodeo team at that time. Is that
You,
mean? That's
no, because you're probably making more money than most people are. I mean, I think, listen, let's talk about your career a little bit. So you started, I'm guessing you kind of started on a whim,
a win. Yeah, yeah.
like, hey, we don't have anybody to do this.
Uh,
You can do it.
it was so. You probably know my other brother Will is a really good rodeo announcer. My
Yeah.
dad was a rodeo announcer. So they were both working when I was in college, and it was a whim, but it was a dare, because I was spouting off that I could do better if I was a rodeo clown. And I didn't think it was that cool. I was an athlete, I was involved in music and stuff,
Mhm.
and I had other things going. It wasn't, I think it was an advantage in my career, because I see a lot of young people come to me now. And of course, in today's world, it's, hey, what button can I push and be successful?
Mhm.
I didn't have any goals at it. I just thought, hey, I can do better. I'll do this for a few summers and make a few extra bucks. And I think it probably, I did NRA rodeos, amateur rodeos in Montana for like 5 years before I even, before I tried to join the PRCA or whatever. I see people clown rodeos for a year and then I'm ready to go. No, you suck. You're
No, you need to work on that a little bit more.
actually, I shouldn't say that. You're not polished. To me, there was a real higher standard. If I stepped up and went to PRCA rodeos, that P meant something, and I
Mhm.
should be polished and get my act together, so to speak. And I think so many young people now that want to do it are impatient and just want to instantly be successful. I get a lot of, I want to do what you do. I'm like, well, of course you do. I'm in AT&T Stadium or Madison Square Garden, or when I was rodeoing, Pendleton, Calgary. I said, I'll tell you how you know if you want to do it. And I always use this example. If you're standing during the national anthem at the rodeo in Absaroka, Montana, and count 36 people in the bleachers, and you're still excited to do your job, that's yes, there.
That's some
We're
dedication.
there. It was a long time to be an overnight success for sure.
Well, and I would say too, I really, I feel like in my lifetime, the industry, like the fact that we call it now an industry,
Mhm.
um, has changed so much. And I think you've got to experience it like, well, the fact that you have mentioned Madison Square Gardens and AT&T Stadium, I mean, you've got to really experience that growth and that big change firsthand. Um, Aside from venue, what would you say is kind of the biggest change that you've seen since you started?
Um, TV maybe. And I can say this because I think people are under the impression that I hear a lot. I don't hear it. I'm at PBRs every weekend, and we're all rodeo fans. Like
Yeah.
it's a lot of the PBR guys go watch the NFR, and
Hmm.
we're all rodeo fans. When I hear rodeo people talking, they're talking about their guys and your guys. Like it's like your bull riders and our bull riders. They're all bull riders. They just
Hmm.
choose to go a different spot. I think, and even when I was rodeoing, I was doing both rodeo and PBR. The fact that PBR has live TV shows every single week has boosted also the popularity of rodeo because then when the rodeo comes
Absolutely.
down, people have watched it on TV. And when I started, I remember whatever that was called when a rodeo was on TV, but I did a few of those, Red Bluff and Reno and whatever. But they'd air. I could watch them like 3 weeks later. You know,
Yeah.
who wants to watch a basketball game 3 weeks after it was done? That always, even early in my career, I was a sports guy, so I thought
That doesn't
it's
make
just
sense.
basically rodeo was a novelty on TV.
Hmm.
And PBR got to be where it was either an hour delayed or live or whatever. So just the exposure. People now, Cowboy Channel just pumps out rodeos on the Cowboy Channel, which is good. I mean, as far as like a quality network telecast, a lot of it's just the arena feed of a big screen with a low res camera. But rodeo people don't care. They just want to
No.
watch video. I I don't I can say this about me. I'm a rodeo fan and a bull riding fan, but I don't sit here. There's a big TV right there. I don't just sit here at night and watch rodeos. Maybe because I've gone to so many that it's kind of seems like work. But on the other end, I have a passion for it, and
Hmm.
but I have more of a passion for the inside scoop, the stories behind guys, because I do a lot. I've done a lot of radio stuff. I'm doing podcast stuff.
Hmm.
I do talk shows. So that's the stuff that I like. The stories, not just watching run after run. So
Yeah.
but I don't know. I think our key, the goal of the PBR for years was to make the Cowboys stars like other sports have stars.
Hmm.
And it took a long time. It took 20 years to really develop that. Now we go and the crowd screams for Jess Lockwood and JB Mooney and Cooper Davis. And, it was Justin McBride and that, those were stars.
Hmm.
And so I'd see things, a rodeo thing pop up and say, we're going to promote our stars too. Well, yeah, but nobody knows who they are yet. So that's that patience thing again.
Mhm.
And I mean, I know I get off on a tangent, but it's TV, it's exposure kind of has it really grown things. I guess. I think, I guess sometimes I look and everybody wants to reinvent rodeo. Hey, we're going to change the format. We're going to do this to reinvent rodeo. I'm like, every rodeo you go to has record attendance.
Mhm.
Like, what more can you reinvent? That's the
Yeah.
key to fans and people seeing it and having fun there. And everybody wants to make more money, but money, here's the thing. Look at me go. Here's the thing. Everybody, some of them are,
Yes.
but not all of that. People want to see, if you want to see bull riding, you're going to see bull riding. Uh,
Mhm.
it's just that some, now, when I go to the NFR, or if I go to a rodeo, whether my girls are in it or whatever, I
Mhm.
never stay for the bull ride. I mean, I've seen it on TV. I mean, I never stay for the bull ride. And I'll tell you, when I'm at a rodeo in maybe an NRA rodeo in Montana, I don't stay for the bull riding. And if there's a good young guy I want to see, I will. But I hate to say this, I'm watching the greatest bull riders in the world every single week. So when the bull riding rolls around, I don't think consciously about it. I just get up and go to the trailer and go.
Mhm.
I'm a bulldogging fan. I've always been a bareback riding fan. I love those events because I don't get to see them every week. So
Yeah. Yeah.
there is crossover. A lot of PBR bull riders are good ropers. Cody Lambert, who you had on here, he's a,
Mhm.
he enters a lot of calf roping events. He's
That's what
good.
he was telling me. I think that's awesome. So two things that you said that I want to touch on. One of them is that, and Cody and I talked about this, the publicity that y'all been able to pull to PBR, whether, I mean, it's not, like you said, it's not directly related to rodeo, but it has shined a light on rodeo and has made, I would say, other rodeo communities kind of step up their game. Like when they see, almost like see what the possibilities are and where you could go, I feel like it kind of tasks them to do better. Not just, I mean, yes, for the athletes, but also for the people that are buying tickets and for the butts that are in the seats. I mean, just
Yeah.
provide a better show.
Yeah, and when we talk about whether it's PBR or rodeo, most people who go called PBR or rodeo, they don't know the
Yeah,
difference.
yeah,
It's inside baseball to all of us in the
right.
business, so we get carried away with that. I'm not kidding when I hear and big time rodeo people and stock contractors talk about you PBR guys, it pisses me off. I'm gonna take because I host the buckle ceremonies. And look at me, I'm getting opinionated. I host the buckle ceremonies at the NFR for the South
Mhm.
Point. I'm doing it again this year in Arlington. And there's been some people in charge of the PRCA, that's all I'll say, that think Michael Brown, the South Point should hire somebody else to do it. Well, I'm a good host.
Mhm.
And this year I'm going to take an NFR buckle with me and go, see this? I have 8 of them. So I think I know rodeo. Like I'm not somebody else's guy.
Right.
I'm I'm just in the business, you
Yeah,
know?
I mean, I think it only, honestly, it only hurts the industry as a whole when you start to make those separations. I mean, um, yeah, I mean, my son wants to be a bull rider, and so we went. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
So this was really fun talking to Cody Lambert. He said when my son wanted to, we made sure all the sports were available. Like that's a good
Yeah.
that's a good tip. So, but
Hey,
like,
on your topic though that I didn't get to about it makes the show as cool and it steps up the show. If you go to a rodeo or an extreme bulls or whatever, and you see letters burned in the ground, that all came from PBR did that years and years ago
yes.
and still do. It's kind of a trademark, but that was
Hmm.
the first, big pyro shots, lasers. I mean, I hate to say it, that's kind of where that started. So it has made everyone listen. If you're going to see it at a PBR, we better do something a little different here. And a lot of them do it in a way that adheres to the rodeo and Western tradition of rodeo grand entries, but
Hmm.
they're sharper. The music's better. Music is a big part of rodeos now. We've
Yes.
now music directors at every rodeo. If you don't, it just
Yeah.
doesn't count. It's ingrained in the production now. All of that has made everybody the next person step up as it should be. if you don't step up, you're left
Left
behind.
behind. Yeah.
Mm.
So two things. We just had Jill Franzen Loden on last week,
Mhm.
who has been nominated again for Music Director of the Year. We talked about the same thing, like just the change in that. The second thing, we started doing a dirt burn at the CNFR when I was doing the production. And
Yeah.
I mean it the entertainment factor and the pyro, like people just like it. They want, it's more when they come to an event, especially of that caliber, like there's lots of expectations. One, you're going to a rodeo, you're going to a good rodeo, but then if you've not been to the CNFR before, then you get that treat of that, the opening ceremony that doesn't happen at all of the performances, or it doesn't happen at all the other rodeos that you've been to. So I would agree that PBR did kind of light a match for some people.
Yeah, there's too much to do in our world. There's too many
Mhm.
visually stimulating things, from games to movies to everything kids do anymore. They're looking at a phone. You gotta provide a visual stimulation for people, different than they think. A lot of people, we go to New York City, we go to the East Coast for some stuff. They visualize that we're all cowboys sitting on the fence waving our hats, and the
Yeah.
dust. And so when we come out with cool opening videos and pyro, and I'm getting it like Michael Jackson, catches them off guard. So
Yeah,
yeah.
for sure. So let's talk about your some of your acts and kind of the progression of, do you get to do as many as as many of the old acts that you used to?
No, I don't. Everything at PBR is I don't do any prop type act stuff, like, but they're all in a trailer parked at my parents' house. The
Just in
piano,
case.
all this act, they're all entombed. Um, PBR is more, it's on the fly because a lot of it's live TV. We'll have a 4-minute commercial break, 3-minute commercial break. But the other thing I do a lot of now is sponsor sponsor activations during a show.
Hmm.
But I think the biggest difference is the rodeos you do. Like I tell people all the time, I've had people say, do you like working for the PBR better than working for the PRCA? Well, I never worked for the PRCA. I never received a check from PRCA, even at the NFR. You work for Ellensburg, Washington, Pendleton,
Hmm.
Oregon, Calgary Stampede. You're independent everywhere you go. So every rodeo you show up at, you're setting up, you get your microphone set up, you talk to the announcers, who's the music person, who's the sound person. Um, and then you're kind of put in the show at different spots. And well, I don't have that anymore. I'm ingrained in the production.
Hmm.
I'm just part of the production because it's the same announcer, same music guy, same guys opening the gates. The arena is exactly the same every week. Now, some people wouldn't like that. I like
Right.
the consistency to an inconsistent world that we live in. And I've been doing it a very long time. So all I got to worry about is what's going to happen in the arena. And so, yeah, if it's a 3.5 minute commercial break, I do something, I guess I would call it too. I do stuff a little more contemporary. I love rodeo needs clown acts.
Hmm.
Props. I did the little piano act. There's something goes around pro rodeo more since I've been gone. Oh yeah, I got another Flint here that won't do any acts and won't work the barrel. That's such crap. I got a trailer full of acts. I did that. I turned into Elvis. I did the piano. I had all of it. So the longer I'm gone, the legend grows that I.
Right.
But there are a lot of guys, honestly, a lot of them are my friends that don't do, like, well, I don't do the big act stuff. I just walk and talk. Well, yeah, but you're crappy at it. So, but rodeo needs that. I
Hmm.
think rodeo needs that 8-9 minute clown act with props and something to bring in the arena. And we PBR doesn't kind of go that direction,
Yeah.
but I think rodeo needs it. And if I were to ever go back and do rodeos, that's a hypothetical. I don't see myself doing that because
Hmm.
I'm very much on the downhill side of my career. But it's necessary. And the guys that say, well, I don't do those big acts. Well, think of one because people
Yeah.
like that. I I mean, I did my little grand piano act at the college finals once in Bozeman, and then when it was Rapid City in front of 18 people, I did stuff. So yeah, I've done all that, and I worked the barrel, and
So I
I just
think my favorite one was the crocodile hunter.
Yeah. And that's another one where, not really intended to be like an act. I did it with rodeo while I was rodeoing. I'd put on the khaki suit, have the big binoculars. And to me, Natty, I would just work it between saddle bronc riders
Hmm.
for 10 or 11 bronc riders. And to me, it was a fill-in thing. And,
Hmm.
but I've done it a little too at PBR, and it's pretty popular.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. There's one on YouTube from the PBR World Finals at Thomas and Mack a few years ago, and it'll pop up. So I'll just watch it. And I even giggle. It's like I'm not watching myself. I'm like, God, that guy's hilarious. Anyway, but yeah, that's pretty
Who
fun.
is this guy?
That guy was awesome. And look at his hair was thicker. It was great. Yeah.
So talk to me about I guess the progression and how I would guess that the decision to turn kind of away from rodeos and more towards just the PBR was a hard decision.
Yeah. People may not realize, I actually turned it down because I was doing a lot of PBRs anyway, all
Hmm.
winter, in the fall, just, and it was about New Year's, Randy Bernard, who was CEO at the time, he said, if people want to see you, I was
Hmm.
getting better. Like I felt like I was, of course, as you go and
Hmm.
getting polished. And um, he said, if people want to see you, I want them to have to go to a PBR to see you. I
Only.
said, oh man, I've done the NFR. I make this, honestly, I said, I make this much money and I get these bonuses, and I love rodeo and taking off in the summer. And okay. And he was cool. And a few months went by and I kicked off kind of the summer rodeo season in June. I remember I picked up and me and my family went to Cordova, Utah. And I knew after the first performance, I went back to my wife at the time and said, I, I'm burned out. Like, it, I guess I'm not a real good plateauer. And I felt like I did all the rodeos I want to do. I feel like I'm doing the same thing. It was just another challenge. And a lot of people think, oh yeah, you had to make that financial decision. Well, the money didn't,
Didn't
I mean,
make the decision.
yeah, I just had to make what I was making rodeo,
Yeah.
basically. So it was more of, I thought it would be better for my family because instead of taking off and traveling for 3 months, I'd just fly on the weekends. As it turned out, to be completely honest with you, that was our connection as a family, where my
Mm.
wife would bring a couple of young horses. We'd all travel together. There were times I had to leave for a while where they couldn't go, which was rough. But it kind of broke a connection there
Yeah.
with family. So I work just as much. I mean,
Hmm.
as far as weekends go, I don't have to do those rodeos like Denver that have 25 performances in 8 days. Um, but it was a tough one, mostly because I wanted to leave rodeo with the respect of committees and rodeo people. I wanted to do it right,
Yeah.
where I still had that passion for rodeo. So thus I go to the NFR every year and do my talk show. I host the buckle ceremonies. And that is me. That's what kind of makes me mad when people talk about a PBR guy doing the buckles. No,
Yeah.
I had a great rodeo career and I love rodeo. So that's just my way of being involved in rodeo. It's
Hmm.
so anyway. See,
Yeah, for sure.
you can tell that touches a nerve when people are like PBR guy doing come on, I think I've earned my way here a little
Well, and I
bit.
think there's a place for both of them.
Oh, exactly. Yeah.
And I would add, I mean, I'm sure it is different, but I never pulled the trigger. I bought my permit, but at that time, all I could do at the professional level was run barrels. And so, I feel like if you can go to the next level, then you should.
Right.
And I think it's just a little bit different. I mean, I think what I also really appreciate about the PBR is that it's worldwide. I mean, the Velocity Tour, there were a lot of people that were not from the United States, which is awesome.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
it's
a lot
not like
of
the US has the hold on rodeo and bull riding. There's other countries that are doing it. And to be exposed to that, I, I mean,
yeah.
it truly only helps the rodeo industry that much more.
Yeah. C Brazil. Yeah. Because a lot of those international guys, a lot of them aren't even in the country right now because they can't get in.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's I see a lot of fans go, what's this Brazilian? So many Brazilians. We'll call it the Brazilian Bull Riders Association. I'm like, well, it is a world champion. I
Yes.
mean, it is a world champion. It's not a national champion. It's a world champion. So did it originate in the US? Is it an American company? Yes, it is. So would I like to see 8 Brazilian riders instead of 18? Yes, I would. But I have fans come and go, how are we gonna, man, we gotta do something about all these Brazilian riders. Well, there's a way to do it. Beat them. That's all.
Yes.
Yeah, that's it.
You just got to toughen up a little bit and get back on.
Bull riding, you can't fool your way through it. I mean,
Mm-mm.
just ride your bulls and you'll be there. And so they just ride a lot of them. So yeah.
So you have mentioned the podcast a couple of times. What is the name of your podcast?
My podcast is called According to Flint. As a lot of
I
people
can't
know,
imagine that you would really have that much to say.
yeah, no, never, no.
Mhm.
I've done my TV show at the NFR and PBR finals, and I did a radio show outside the barrel.
Yep.
That's the reason of that. But when we were coming up with a name, I have guys helping me. David Allen, do you know David Allen? He was in on the college finals forever.
I don't.
He's helping me, but we don't. It's not a rodeo podcast, and now
Yeah.
we really emphasize Western sports for these first few. We haven't been doing it long, but I've also had Mark Wills, country music singer, Rick Sutcliffe, former Major League Baseball pitcher. We got people lined up that aren't rodeo. So we wanted to appeal to broader crowds. I feel like if you're just focused on Western sports, it's a kind of a finite crowd, a little bit, fan base. So I wanted to appeal bigger. So outside the to you and me and rodeo porn in the spring at all the rodeos, and he'd call me and I'd talk on his radio show for 5 minutes or so. And it was a segment. We came up with a name. What do we call it? What are we doing? I'm not just giving you results. It's not a rodeo report. That's what you do. It's more thinking outside the box, thinking of, outside the barrel. And so that just stuck. We just used it. Same thing.
Yeah. I mean, so my goal was not, I just like rodeo, and it kind of sprung that college, the CNFR was canceled, in April. And so I was like, I want to talk to Roger. I need to, and everybody else needs to know what was going on when they made this decision. And to be honest with you, I think they took a lot of guff on social media about making that call. And so I kind of wanted to get their story out, and then it just exploded.
Now look at what we know now. When NFR canceled, Cheyenne canceled, people were like, you wusses, this.
Yeah.
All summer. It had to be done. Of course, bringing people, it was in the summer, you can bring people from all over the country into a city the size of Casper. And I mean, maybe you and I think we could have, but at the time with the way the country
we just didn't know.
Here, and I know we're not spending a lot of time on college rodeo, but right now there's a lot of places taking heat for canceling. Denver canceled, Fort Worth canceled. And the biggest things I see that trigger me are, how hard could it be? If a sentence starts with that, it's real hard and you don't have a clue. And don't you think it's a little early? That comes from people who have never produced anything.
Yes.
It's not really at all. This stuff doesn't just appear and happen.
Contracts have already been signed.
Yeah, that's right. And locally produced events are harder to pull off than like a PBR tour event, because we take care of all that. We have the protocols and all of that in place, and it's economically feasible for us with the economic base we have with the TV deal, different things. When you're talking locally produced stuff, it's different. And the other thing, like those stock shows, they have crowd management issues with stock shows, and the counties and states are laying protocols on them that they just can't adhere to. They just can't pull it off. So when a place does that, I think people should remember, why would a place like Fort Worth or Denver want to cancel? That's what they do. There's a lot of, have you noticed that people are like, oh, screwing us over again, like they want to cancel a rodeo. Well, the rodeos are just a casualty of the whole thing getting canceled. Cheyenne, place like Cheyenne, the 10 nights in a row of concerts pays for the rodeo.
Right.
So if you can't have concerts, it's all rodeos play second fiddle too much, and it's a casualty of everything else getting canceled. So
yeah, I mean, I know like the CNFR in particular, they'd already purchased all the hay for the stock, and that's a lot of hay. Myself and my husband and our neighbor, we've always volunteered. So there's a huge stack of hay out by our house that we're keeping covered, and hopefully we can keep it ready for next year. But I mean, like you said, there's contracts and pre-arrangements that even that far out, like it seemed like it was a long ways out, but it was, when was it? April?
Yeah,
that they made the decision.
In a couple months. And
the local CNFR committee starts meeting in September. I mean, it's not early in the planning season for an event like that. And I don't know, it's hard. Everybody has their own, different struggles at this time. And something like that is, I think people take it too personally at this point. Like, this event canceled and it impacts me in this way, instead of this event canceled and it impacts a lot of different people in many different ways.
I'll tell you what we've learned through it all, and this might sound critical too, but I'm not afraid to be critical because I really can't get fired. It has taught us through this how many rodeo contestants really don't know what it takes to produce a rodeo.
Yes.
That's what I think, with all due respect. Again,
right.
It's like, wait, you've been doing this for how long? And you just made that statement? Like, yeah. So maybe it'll inspire people to learn a little more and get more involved with what committees go through to make a great rodeo for you to compete in, I guess.
Well, and I think what's interesting, I have my dad put on the first rodeo for the WRA at the event center many years ago. I think I was 8, running around like I owned the place. And so I always felt like I had kind of a behind the scenes view of what it took, when most people didn't. And even in high school, like we had to work, I had to sell sponsorships and go out in the community and get support for our local high school rodeo. And so even at that stage, we still had to do some stuff, but I still, even at that point, didn't really know what production looked like. I mean, I didn't really know what production looked like until I got the production manager position with the CNFR. And then I was like, this is a whole new ball game. There's so much more that goes into it. I mean, I think that first Sunday performance, I probably puked in the garbage can when I found out I had to call the spots. I didn't know what the heck I was doing.
Hey, by the way, I worked the National Finals Rodeo all 8 years that I did it was with Joe Bumgarner, probably the greatest protection bullfighter of all time. He did it 15 times or whatever. They finally, at the bottom of that tunnel in Thomas and Mack, the little tunnel that goes to the arena where we'd come down every day, finally they put a garbage can down there because he puked every performance. Joe Bumgarner puked in that garbage can. So don't feel, see, it's fine. I'm
good.
So yeah.
I'm with the best of them then. That's good. That means you're still taking it seriously.
I'm not a puker. I have to sometimes get myself excited, some places.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. Well, I mean, I think it's really important, especially at this level. I mean, rodeo is such a grassroots, truly, it's such a grassroots sport. And if you are still asking those questions, then you need to get involved.
Yeah. I told some people when the Nile rodeo here in Billings this fall canceled, some cowboys on social media were, how hard can it be? Why don't we do this, it? There's that phrase again. And I said, and I meant it sincerely. I wasn't being a jerk. I said, put one on.
Yes.
Put on a rodeo and let me know, if you have $1,000 or not $100,000. If you have $100,000 sitting somewhere in a bank account right now and you want to gamble it right now on a rodeo, go ahead. And no takers.
Yeah. And I think people also assume that these committees are just saving money. These committees are losing money.
Yeah.
I mean, they've already, to an extent, no matter how early you are, to an extent, you already have some money out for next year's production.
Right.
So when you don't get to do it, you're not saving anything.
Yeah. I know Cheyenne, what did it cost? Even canceling, it still cost them leading up to it and they stuck with it, they were trying to do it.
They
It still
did.
cost them $3-4 million,
Oh,
uh, so yeah.
well, all we can do is, I know, whew, is just hope then that everything kind of, I don't
Well,
know,
I will
it
tell you
just
this,
comes back.
your passion, I
Because
know,
there are some that probably will not.
yeah. Um, your passion, I know, on here and stuff is college rodeo. And my two girls rodeo at Montana State University. Does the University of Montana even? Oh yeah, that school's still open. I couldn't remember. Um, for my girls' sake,
You're breaking out.
yeah. Um, my youngest daughter is one of the best goat tires in the country. And I mean, she's got, after 5 rodeos in the spring season, she's got 600 and some points already. And my daughter Shelby made it as a freshman and wants to get back. You know how it's hard to make the college final. And especially
Yes.
when you're a breakaway roper and it's all 2.4 seconds. And so for their sake, yeah, I want the spring season to happen. There's rodeos, California. There's schools, Cal Poly, they're not even going to school because California is a freak show. Sorry, I have no qualm saying that, but I want their, the Big Sky region.
There's that. Yep.
Yeah, Big Sky region just completed they did all 5 rodeos in the fall, and they'll have their spring season. So hopefully it all happens.
Yeah. Yeah. I think there's 3 regions that are doing all of their rodeos in the spring. So hopefully they'll be able to get through them. I mean, West Coast, I don't know if they're going to be open or not.
Yeah.
They may not even be able to do any.
Yeah. California may not exist as a state by then. It's hard to say.
Well, I don't think that's too far-fetched.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know.
Well,
that sounds critical, but it's California. They've taken enough jokes. They understand. So
they're used to the jokes.
yeah.
California and Colorado. That's like
Yeah.
us making jokes about Colorado here.
Yeah.
So 45 minutes in, I told you that all too well, like you get started and you just keep on going. I will say during the lockdown, this was my lifesaver to stay connected with people. And I still think that it's true. I mean, I still think there are people that are seeking that connection. And so obviously I appreciate technology for that reason. And I appreciate your time so much for coming on.
Hey, by the way, I get that. I do. We started doing a Tuesday night Facebook Live when the quarantine first hit, and I'm still doing it every Tuesday night now.
Yes.
So it's a connection with people, and it started as people want to see anything. Now you've started something and they want to stay connected to see what's going on next. So it's been good.
I still get a lot of the same viewers. I mean, we started interviewing colleges so that student athletes could learn about where they wanted to go to school. And so I still talk to a lot of colleges. I still talk to a lot of alumni now. So it's been, I don't know, it's fun. It keeps me connected anyways.
Yeah. Well, go Bobcat. Bobcat Rodeo. Yeah. There you go. Watch for the Rasmussen girls. Watch out for them. They're fire breathers.
I have been watching them for a little while. So how old are they now?
My daughter Shelby is in her 4th year. She's a senior.
That's what I
She's
thought.
doing an extra year of eligibility, but she's at school to be at school, so she may be done after this year. She will graduate in the spring. Paige, also known as the Goat NATO.
Yes.
She's a sophomore, 2nd year, majoring in psychology. So they're both very good students. Shelby's in marketing, both minoring in Spanish. So.
Oh wow.
So yeah, that's a good program there. They have a lot of kids, and Andy Bolich and Tracy do a great job, and yeah, proud of them. And
they do.
Said, thank God for college rodeo. It's paying for your girl's college. I'm like, I could have paid for college 10 times. Believe me. But
yeah, because rodeo is so cheap.
Yeah, it's worth it. I'm proud of it. So.
Yeah, well, so I would love to have one of them on just to chat. I did have Andy on. So Andy and Tracy and I, we college rodeoed together up in the Big Sky. So I know them very well. So I'm going to do a little sign off. Flint, thank you so much for joining. I appreciate it. Even if it's just to talk about the industry, obviously, I think those that do college rodeo and the followers and people that tune in have a passion for rodeo in general. And so it's always good to kind of look outside the scope of college rodeo and just kind of see and chat.
It's all connected. It's all connected.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So thank you so much for you guys that are tuning in live. It seems like we were having some streaming issues. So hopefully you guys got to watch it and tune into most of it. If you are going to rewatch and you have any questions, be sure to post them in the comments. And again, I do have a shout out for Cinch Jeans. They kind of caught on to what we were doing here pretty early and have been very supportive. Supportive of our quest to continue to promote college rodeo. So thank you so much to them. And yeah, if you guys know a coach that needs to be on, or you know an alumni that has a great story or would be a good interview, please tag me or shoot me an email or a message, a private message. And we would love to have them on. So thank you guys so much, and we will catch you next week.